Have you ever heard of a single all-natural product that can help speed up your composting, supercharge your plant growth and soil life, and clean your pond? Today, I want to talk to you about how we make use of photosynthetic bacteria plant food, PSB, in our garden and around our property. And in this video, we'll show you how we use it, how we apply PSB around our gardens here at Supercharging Homestay, and why we enjoy using it so much. First off, we add it to our watering can, about 10 to 20% by volume PSB to water, and then we water our plants with it. Even if it's been raining a lot, sometimes I'll go around and just give a good splash of the PSB, particularly to young plants as they're growing, because it just helps them absorb the nutrients that are in the soil, because it's breaking them down. It's breaking down the organic matter that's in the soil, and it helps the plants to take them up. So where the rain is providing water, the PSB is providing the microbial activity that will help absorb the nutrients that are in the soil. And we give it to our flowering plants, our vegetables, our fruit trees, anything at all that's growing that we want to give life to, because it really does stimulate plant growth in an extremely good way, because it, as I said, it's helping release the nutrients that are in the soil. It's like a probiotic for our plants. And it also helps our plants become more disease resistant and resilient, because it's releasing so much more of the goodness and allowing the plants to take this up. This means we've got stronger, healthier plants that are more resistant to diseases and pests. And I've not seen anything or read anything that says that you can overdo the amount of PSB that you can give to your plants. I just think it might be a little bit wasteful to give too much too frequently, because the plants will not be able to make good use of it if they're absolutely saturated. I don't think it's going to harm the plants, but it's just going to mean that you'll need to replenish your supplies of PSB more frequently. And another way we use it is as a foliar spray. We'll mix a similar amount, 10 or 20% with water in a spray bottle, and spray the leaves, particularly of our young plants. And my wife uses it also on her cacti and on the adenium to help them grow better and be more resilient and disease resistant. And as a foliar spray, PSB also helps to stimulate and speed up the process of photosynthesis in the plants. Because PSB is photosynthetic bacteria, this all responds to daylight in a positive way, and so with spraying the leaves, apparently it helps to really speed up and stimulate the process of photosynthesis in the leaves of your plants as well. And this in turn promotes more vigorous growth and strength in healthy plants. And more recently, my wife has started to grow some lotus, and the flowers are just lovely. They're so beautiful and really fast growing in this hot, humid climate that we have here in northern Thailand. They are really taking off. We've discovered also that adding PSB to the water in the pond or in the containers where she's growing the lotus really helps to improve the quality of the water and fighting the algae that can grow and really develop very, very quickly, that is not actually helpful to the lotus. So by adding PSB to the pond water and to the container water where we're growing the lotus, it helps them to have cleaner water and again release more of the nutrients to make them more readily available to the plants. And so by adding PSB to the pond water, it's actually consuming excess nutrients that might be in the water that the plants can't absorb themselves, and if they stay there, they can deteriorate and become ineffective and even negatively effective bacteria. So they interact, the PSB interacts with the algae and the sludge that forms and helps to neutralize any negative effects that these might have by converting them. And the PSB is not harmful to fish or other aquatic life because it's only improving the quality of the water. It's not a problem. If you're not sure how much to add, it really does depend on the volume of your pond or the pot or the container that the water is in. Just start adding a little bit and a little bit at a time every day or so, or every 2 days, and just pay attention to what's happening with the water and just, get a feel for it, because different quantities of water and also different amounts of light and different temperatures will determine how effective the PSB is when you're adding it to a pond. One of the other things that I love to do with PSB is add it to my compost pile, because again, it just really helps to break down the organic matter and make it more readily available to plants. And this is something that is fabulous for compost. It helps to break it down and become useful much, much more quickly. I haven't actually tested it to find out how it is, but I'm intending to run some tests sometime in the future. And in particular, PSB helps to break down lignin and cellulose in compost that are really most commonly present in carbon-dense, carbon-rich components that you put into your compost. So that's the brown is the carbon, your green matter is the nitrogen, but the PSB really apparently works very intensely on the carbon matter, the lignin and the cellulose that is being put into the compost to help break this down more efficiently and more quickly. PSB microorganisms produce enzymes and organic acids that speed up the decomposition process. They help break down phosphorus in the compost, converting it to a form that plants can readily absorb. It also helps to reduce the stinky odours that can be quite often present in compost from new material that's being added, because it just works on it to decompose it more quickly. And the other thing that I really enjoy using PSB for is supercharging, activating my biochar. So when I've cooked up a new batch of biochar, when I've burned up some old trimmings from trees and the bamboo and stuff like that, and it's ready to go, I don't put the biochar directly into my compost or soil without first inoculating and activating it with photosynthetic bacteria, because this then provides a way for the biochar to be even more effective than if you put it into your garden directly. If you make biochar and add it directly to your garden, what's going to happen is it's going to leach out the goodness that's already in the soil, because the biochar in itself isn't that much good for your soil directly, but it does provide housing, each little piece of biochar is like a condominium for the microorganisms that live in the soil. So if we supercharge the biochar first, if we activate it by soaking it in PSB, then it becomes full of all that richness and all that goodness that is then going to stay in your soil for a lot longer. And instead of leaching the goodness from your soil, the biochar, once it's inoculated, will add even more life and more goodness, more microbial activity to enrich your soil and to produce stronger, healthier, more resilient plant life. And so the biochar provides a home for the microorganisms that make up the PSB. So the PSB activates biochar, turning it from a static carbon sponge into a dynamic living microbial carrier. So we use the PSB, the photosynthetic bacteria, to add to our watering can when we're watering, not every day, but depending on the type of plant, fairly frequently. Sometimes once every 2 days, sometimes with other plants, just once a week. With our bigger trees, just every so often. And we give it as a foliar spray, particularly to younger plants, to really help stimulate the photosynthetic process to produce healthier and stronger plants. And we've found more recently adding PSB to our lotus ponds helps to clean the water, and it's very safe and very healthy for the fish and the frogs and everything that lives in the water. And then also, as I said, adding it to compost is wonderful. It helps to boost the compost, it helps to speed the decomposition, and who doesn't love an excess of really good compost in the garden? I don't think there's anything as too much compost in a garden. And then last of all, also adding it to our biochar. And sometimes I'll add it to the biochar and then put the biochar straight in the compost. Other times I'll add it to the biochar and then add the biochar directly into the soil in our garden. So there's a few ways that we love to make use of photosynthetic bacteria in our garden. If you'd like to learn more about how we make this and how you can make photosynthetic bacteria so you can learn to enjoy it in your garden, please check out this video next. Thanks very much for watching.